Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to sew your pointe shoes. I've been waiting to do this video for a really long time, but I actually haven't gotten new pointe shoes for a while, which is weird. When I did, I had to sew them in like a day, so I didn't want to rush through. I wanted to make sure this video was good. So these actually aren't my pointe shoes that I'm sewing, which is why in the beginning I'm actually showing you how to fit it with my shoes right now, because I'm sewing my friend's shoes for her, a very dear friend of mine, but they're a size too small, so I didn't want to put my foot in and have to worry about that. So the fitting at the beginning is actually my shoes, but then the rest I'm gonna walk you guys through it, and I'm actually gonna do my first voiceover, so comment how I do on that, because I'm really kind of a little bit nervous. I don't really know how it works too well. But in a couple of videos, or pretty soon, I'd like to do a Q&A, so if you have any questions, anything, appropriate obviously, I'll go through, so comment down below, or DM me on Instagram or on the Catherine Morgan app. I'm going to be putting up a post, so just check that out. But I'd love to do a Q&A, and you guys can ask me dance stuff, personal stuff, what's my favorite color, what's my favorite dance clothing, it's anything. So I hope you enjoy the video, and let's get started. Okay, so this is just your normal elastic. You're going to attach it at the base of your heel, where you think you might want it. And then you're going to loop it over, testing the tightness you want. Here I'm just adjusting it where I would want it to be on my ankle. Now I'm adjusting the tightness. Once you have that figured out, you're going to mark with a Sharpie pen or whatever you'd like to mark where the edge of the shoe on the elastic is and where the elastic touches the shoe. So I'm just putting a little dot because I don't want a whole lot of marks. And now I'm doing it to the outside of my foot too. I'm demonstrating this on a left shoe, just so you know. So that's me making a mark on the inside of the elastic, and now I'm putting a little dot on the inside of my shoe so I know where I'm going to be sewing the elastic. Okay, so now I'm showing you, I fold over the end of the ribbon to make sure it stays strong, and I'm attaching it at the bottom, and I always suggest wrapping it around your ankle just so you get the right feel for it and you make sure you don't fold it down too short. So that's a good place. I'm going to mark on the shoe with two little dots where I'm going to want it. And now I'm just going to repeat the same process but with the outside ribbon. I would suggest not doing this process with your tights on because it is easy to get the Sharpie on your tights. So now I'm folding it over and I'm sticking it in the shoe and holding it there with my finger, and then I'm going to wrap it around to make sure it's not too long or too short, because I took these ribbons off an old pair of shoes, so you want to make sure you use the right ribbon for the right part of the shoe, or else you can get into a bit of a tiff with the length of your ribbon. So now I'm marking it, and that's the end of your measuring step. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to sew your elastic. So I just had a needle in there to hold it in the right place, because you want to angle it a certain way, but you can really set that angle ready when it's on your foot. So I threaded my needle, I put a knot in the end of my needle, I triple knotted it, and now I'm pulling it through. And what you want to do is you want to get it right through in between that seam. So you don't want it to show on the outside, but also when you put it through, make sure you're not puncturing your drawstring, because you always want your drawstrings to be workable while your shoe's on. So I'm just making these little loops, and I'm going to continue doing this back and forth. So I'm sticking it right under the edge of that seam, up through, and I'm just going to repeat this process a whole bunch of times and go all the way to the end and then back again, just to make sure it's very secure. I'm making my final stitch when I'm coming back around. Now I'm going to secure it. I actually stole this method from Catherine Morgan, so if you want to watch another video on how to sew your point shoes, that is the best. So I'm sticking it through the bottom of this seam where it's actually sewn originally. So I'm just sticking it through right at the base of the hemming on the edge of the point shoe. Now this is good because you're only going to see one stitch on the outside of the shoe. Usually I like to line it up down there where I'm poking it through, but I poked it through a bit too high on the inside. So I'm going to pull that through, and then, sorry I got a little blurry. And then now I'm going to make my knot. So I'm going to take a little bit of fabric from the edge and pull it through the point, pull it through the elastic, sorry. I'm going to then pull the needle through the loop I made, making a small knot. This is not your final knot, only your starting knot. So now where that is, you're going to push the needle through, not through the elastic, but through the thread, and then loop it through. I'm going to show this step slowly, I believe, the next time. So I like to triple knot it. So now I'm going to do it one more time. So I go through, and then as you can see, there's a loop. I'm going to put the needle through the loop and pull. And then you have your knot, and it should be very secure. I've never actually encountered it falling out. So there you go, end of. Okay, so now I'm just going to do the exact same thing I did on the other side of the elastic, but now here. As you can see, I turned the heel inside out just to make it easier to sew. I just finished making my stitch on the outside of the point shoe, and I'm going to show you the knot one more time. So as you can see, I'm going through both layers of fabric, and then I make my loop, and I just stick my needle right through it, and I pull. You can do this 2 to 3 times. You don't really need to do it more than 3 times, but whatever you feel the most comfortable with. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to sew the ribbons. So down there it's folded a little bit less than 1 inch, and this just makes sure it stays as secure as possible, and it keeps the edges from fraying. So when you sew the ribbons, it's very similar to the elastics, except not only do you go around the top, but you also go around all 3 other sides. If you're in a bit of a time crunch, this isn't exactly necessary, but it's the way I prefer to do it. Now I am doing my last stitch across the top. When we go around the other 3 sides, we're going to be doing small circular stitches. When we do this, we still want to be cognizant not to puncture the outside of the satin. The way to do this is by finding where the canvas and satin separate. So that is what I'm showing you right now. I'm going through the ribbon, and I'm feeling where the canvas is and making sure I'm not going through the satin. And doing one more time. As you can see, the stitches are much smaller and they're closer together. I just completed my final stitch around the third side, and now I'm going to secure it the way we secured the elastics. I'm going to poke it through where the seam is and loop it through once. As you can see, there aren't any seams showing on the outside of the satin. And we're just going to use the same securing method. So I'm going to pull it through, I'm going to make a small stitch there, creating a loop, and then pulling my thread through the loop. Again, I'm only going to do 2 to 3 knots because that, in my experience, tends to keep it pretty secure. Okay guys, that's it. You're just going to do the same thing with your other ribbon, and I hope this helped. Hey guys, thanks for getting through the whole thing. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and if you want, please subscribe to my channel, and maybe if you get a chance, check out the other videos that I have. I hope this helped any beginners or not beginners, just maybe another way on how to sew your shoes. This is how I do it, and I think it works well for me. So I hope it helped you, and don't forget to comment questions down below in the comment box, and if you have any video suggestions, I'd love to hear them. So have a good night, you guys. Bye. Oh, and happy December, happy all holidays. Today is the 3rd day of Hanukkah, and Christmas is coming up soon, so Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah to whatever you celebrate. Bye, guys.